I'm in.
What's up, pasta fans? We are back for a whole new season of GardenCast. We're calling it Season 2 because it's the second one, and we are ready to get some pasta analysis going. Am I right, guys?
We sure are.
This is, what do you think, Sam?
I'm pasta ready.
Good. I hope all our listeners are also pasta ready. My name is Nolan, and we got Max here.
Hi, I'm Max.
And Sam is here as well.
So Sammy, yes.
Sammy is over there, and we couldn't be more excited. It's a whole new season, and we're just ready to start feasting, so feast your eyes on this.
You know, my brothers and I got our families together at Olive Garden the other night.
Come on, pass a breadstick to your favorite uncle. Oh, we had a ball.
Try Olive Garden's two new Parmesan polenta-crusted dishes. Sautéed chicken breast topped with a golden Parmesan crust, or try our tender steak medallions, both with mezzaluna ravioli filled with 4 Italian cheeses and our creamy Alfredo, plus unlimited salad and breadsticks.
You know, these kids are growing up a lot like we did.
Yeah, around family.
Olive Garden, when you're here, you're family.
Sure, they also grow around Olive Garden, too.
They're growing up around family.
That was a lot. Oh, there's a lot here.
Where to start with this one? Favorite uncle?
Wow.
He couldn't choose.
Yeah, it's almost as if they're both favorite uncle. I don't think that counts. I think that was a bit of a cop-out.
Yeah, it was definitely a cop-out because he took advantage of the unlimited breadsticks model to defeat kind of the system.
Yeah, I mean, you can have unlimited breadsticks, but can you have unlimited favorite uncles?
It's kind of like a voting situation, you know. A lot of people went to the polls in 2016, and they were like, Hillary, Trump. I wish I could vote for both. And it rings true with. That's actually why Trump won, is because too many people voted for both on their ballot. Would you agree?
Right. Yeah. So, you know, it's Olive Garden, as we know. When you're there, you're family.
Now this is about family.
This is like I assume were family even before they went there.
Yeah, that's interesting because sometimes you're dealing with a group of friends. In this case, you got the Parmesan polenta steak and that stuff. And yeah, they were a family before they left and before they, you know, they're always been a family.
Wow, there's so much family in this.
Look
so
at
they
that.
got their families together. So there's two.
Are there two families or does she...
going on here?
Wait, are the 3 people that are talking outside, are they all family with each other, or are they friends?
There's definitely.
I think the 3 of them are siblings, right?
Well, I kind of thought it was like. Well, I don't know, because it could be a lot of different things. She could be like his mom or something. You ever thought about that?
Well, I think that would make the most sense, and then they're her brothers, right?
Well, they could be, or they could be from the other family.
True. What does she say right at the beginning? I guess it'll take a minute to get around, but oh, they got polenta chicken and polenta. What does polenta mean? Like, what is that?
Yeah, I don't know, but doesn't sound great.
Can we listen to what she says here? Brothers, she said it.
Brothers and I got our families. Oh, so it's like each brother has a family in a way.
Yeah.
It's kind of like if you have 2 brothers and they all had their own family, but then you brought them together at Olive Garden.
And then her son, who's got 2 uncles. Sam, what's kind of your take on like the family-oriented perspective?
Well, this is not quite on the family thing, but this is with the favorite uncle. I think it's a little rigged. I think he gives one breadstick a bigger breadstick to one of the uncles.
Do you think that might be possible?
Yeah,
it kind of looks like it.
that's him hinting which uncle he likes.
He probably
more.
does have a favorite.
Was it the one on the left or the right, Sam?
The one on the left is the bigger breadstick.
That's what I thought as well when you mentioned
it.
Yeah. That's interesting. So you think he's then they got breadsticks. Are they oriented in the same way in the outside shot they are in the inside shot? No, I think they swapped. They did swap. So he gives it to the guy with a bit darker hair.
Oh yeah, the guy that had a ball.
He had a ball?
Yeah, he said we had a ball.
Oh
right?
yeah, he did say that.
So that's probably like the Hillary and Hillary and Trump thing. There's a little more voting percentage on Trump.
Yeah, around family.
Yeah.
Brothers and I got our families together at Olive Garden the other night.
Wow, that's just such a big table.
Yeah, can we count how many family members are actually there? It's a pretty big
Yeah, we
number.
should try and break this down.
It looks like 10 or so, but I like how the one uncle is like drinking a glass of water while they're standing outside.
Gotta stay hydrated. So okay, there's.
I think the other shot shows it better, but
I think it's 10 because it's 4 on each side and then 2, 1 on the end.
So there's
and 1
two,
on the front.
and then there's the kid and the 2 uncles.
That goes
there's
by
the
really
mom,
fast.
There's the other woman.
how many kids are
There's-
there?
All right, let's try and count the kids.
Well, if you pause it,
What is like the? I mean, this food looks so good. It's hard to
Yeah,
even
that
focus
that
right
creamy
now.
shot
yeah,
with all the
that
cream
steak.
going on just really creams me up. There's 2.
Oh, yeah,
there's
it's
like
definitely
at least 3
10.
or
It's
4
10.
kids.
10 people.
You know, my brothers and I got our
3
families together
3
at Olive
kids.
Garden the other
So do you think
So
that
there's
the,
like
actually-
4,
oh my
4 or
gosh.
5 kids maybe.
What do you see, Sam?
a lot of
That's 3 or more kids.
do you think the uncles have kids of their own? Because they're kind of acting towards them like they don't. Like they're like.
Yeah, they're
like-
definitely
No,
playing the
no.
uncle role. Whereas if they had kids of their own there, that you'd think they'd be a bit more of doing the dad.
There'd be
thing.
some more dad energy coming from them, right? And
Right.
plus the way they're sitting, they're surrounding him. I don't think they're sitting next to any other kids.
Yeah, unless
You know, my brothers and I
they
got
could
our
be on the
families
other
together at
side.
Olive Garden.
But that
You
is
don't
kind
have
of
to
weird
sit
how
next
they
to your
surround.
kids, I guess, but
It's just surrounded by uncle right there.
yeah, I like the sound that one of the uncles makes.
Yeah.
That's just a
yeah,
good. That's just a
it's
good
like-
sound.
He's like, ah, you got me.
He's like, oh, Sam, can you kind of do that sound for me?
I don't know. I'd have to hear it.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Oh man, I keep trying to count the kids, but it's harder every time.
Right.
Brothers and I got our families
But then the kids are playing in the backyard later, which is cool.
There's 4 there, and then there's 1 kid there, so I'm thinking 5.
5 kids.
It's gotta be at least 5 kids.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to focus too much on the kids because this is about the whole family.
Well, the kids are part of the family, so
Yeah.
you
But are there
can't-
any dads there? That's the real question I'm thinking about. Are there any dads?
Well, that's the other thing. I mean, we touched on it briefly, but like,
Yeah, around
are the 2 uncles also dads? It's still a question. Even though I might have argued against it, I still think it's valid.
One of my sister's friend's dad, he never had a son, so he always acted like I was his son. So maybe they don't have sons, so they want to make that little boy their son.
So they're trying to be like surrogate dads,
Yeah, but like the cool dads.
the cool dads, which thereby is the whole cool uncle.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't see any other dad types. At
Are
the
there no
table.
other adult males that you can see?
families together at Olive
Did I
Garden.
n- No,
Oh,
no,
there's
there is
one,
one.
there's
There's
one,
one.
yeah.
Yeah. At least one.
The
Somebody
one
in a blue shirt.
Yeah.
And I also,
We had a ball.
Yeah, we're having a ball right now. But I also want to say that when he's presented with that dilemma of passing breadstick to his favorite uncle, he starts looking at the uncle to ask the question, and then he looks over to the other uncle, and his face kind of like gets a little bit like, uh-oh.
Brothers and I got our families together at Olive
And then he goes for us. There's sort of that
Yeah.
like split second reaction where you kind of see him look down and almost
You're
like
right.
he doesn't really like the other uncle.
Yeah, the one who
But-
asked the question, he's kind of giving him the eye, like a positive eye.
Yeah,
like,
but then
he's got
the
eyes
other
for
one
him.
is not a positive reaction, and then it kind of makes me wonder if maybe he doesn't really like that uncle too much, but he doesn't want to
Yeah.
displease him.
Well, maybe he whipped out a real good-looking breadstick for the first uncle, and then he was like,
Right,
"Oh, well, that
yeah.
guy too. I better get this crusty one that's at the bottom of the
Yeah.
barrel." Yeah.
Little guy.
I mean, it is a subtle difference in size, but I think you're right that the one uncle on the left gets thrown with a bit more girth.
It's bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Polenta.
Do you think they've done this before at Olive Garden, like the breadstick trick, or is this like a novel one?
Yeah, around family.
Like maybe they asked him last
There's-
time and like it had a different outcome, so he's like, this time I'll get him.
Yeah, I mean, if you remember back to some of the previous things, they always have breadstick shenanigans or like passing food shenanigans, stuff like that. So this kind of lines up with that, and it definitely could be like a family tradition they have.
Like pass your plates to the left.
It's like, well, yeah, there was that one, and then I'm just thinking about the possible family dynamics going on here.
Yeah.
It could be something where they're always like testing each other, and it's kind of sort of something like that. It's like pass a breadstick.
Yeah, I really
if
see where
you did your homework tonight.
Right.
Like
Even if it's not at Olive Garden, it's like go find a breadstick. We probably have one in the fridge or something.
yeah, it's just like that's how they ask the hard-hitting questions.
Yeah. It's all about passing the breadstick. Yeah. I just think it's really interesting that they still use the "when you're here, your family" tagline in this one, even though this one's all about bringing your existing family there.
Well, I guess it just makes them even more family.
Yeah, because a lot of times I feel like they use that tagline to be like, oh, the waiters and waitresses are like part of your family, but there's no wait staff to be found in this run, right? So this one really focuses in on the diners.
We could go a little bit more. Could go a little further away from what might be the obvious answer here, and consider the fact that possibly that kid, before being at this Olive Garden, was not in their family.
Right.
And he just became their nephew at Olive Garden.
Yeah, they just kind of picked him up just because he was there.
'Cause
Yeah.
I don't think the woman who we assume is the mother explicitly states that it's her kid. They talk about the kids growing up, but
Yeah, they don't talk about that if it's her
they'll
kid.
say
Yeah.
where it came from.
That's an interesting theory, because that would actually lend more credence to the "when you're here, your family." What do you think, Sam? Is this just a random kid they found?
Yeah, it could just be one of their like family friends, kid friend in the backyard playing frisbee, and they say, "Hey, let's go to Olive Garden."
Don't you
and
love
then
it when
these
your
guys,
family friends do that?
Yeah, and then he gets uncles.
Yeah. I had another wilder theory that is probably not correct, but I was wondering if maybe the two uncles are actually, they're not brothers, but when she says brothers, she's talking about one of them and the other blue-shirted guy at the table, and the two uncles in question are actually a gay couple.
Yeah, that could
It wouldn't make sense except for the fact that there is another man at the table, so
That's
maybe
true.
by brothers she means that, she's including that guy, and that's just that guy's spouse.
Yeah.
But like that one's probably too far out there, honestly. That one's a few too many tinfoil hats going.
Well, if that's the case, they gotta hide it, because at that time period of this commercial, people probably weren't super happy with
Yeah, I mean,
comfortable with gay
this
themes.
was
so-
before Olive Garden was starting to be more progressive. It was
Yeah.
back in their darker days.
Right. This is no, I totally
so-
see that.
So I wouldn't rule that out. It could have been one of the earlier attempts to try and insert
Subvert it into the cultural
to try and be a bit more
mainstream.
progressive, but
Yeah.
the higher ups at what would this been? Durden.
Yeah, Darden.
Darden.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, I don't know if
weren't
you've seen the
going for
movie,
it yet.
the documentary, The Celluloid Closet. It's about like hidden gay themes in films going back to like the whole 20th century. If they made an updated version of that, this commercial might be in that movie, because it's got like an alternate meaning.
Right, and also because if you eat a lot of Olive Garden, you can get some more cellulite. On your
Right,
body.
exactly. That's an interesting. The thing about this commercial is that it shows so much, but there's so many questions. I mean, I honestly feel like when you're trying to analyze a commercial like this with so many different characters, so many different moving parts, I feel like nothing is off the table, so to speak.
Right. There's a lot of possibilities, and
A lot of pasta on that table.
there are much less straight answers.
This commercial is a masterpiece. I cannot say it in how many words but this commercial is a straight up masterpiece when it comes to its new Parmesan Palette steak, which is beautiful, and it's got its
cheese.
ravioli
Got
and
so
its
many cheeses.
Beautiful. Olive Garden is art. Art came from Italy. Art was made from Olive Garden.
I really like the one shot of the food where they're absolutely just layering on that Alfredo sauce like it's like sludge or something.
Oh
They're
yeah,
just going,
it's very viscous.
it's extremely viscous and very deep.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
Polenta.
yours as well. But what is polenta?
I don't know, but it's crusted with it.
Yeah, it sure is. You really... I feel like this is one of the more impressive food montages they've had in these commercials.
Yeah,
I feel
every
like
time
they cover,
the food
they
comes
cover
by,
all bases.
I just kind of like it's hard to try and keep my mind on track because I'm just looking at that food and I'm thinking, man, that food looks either A, really good, or B,
because you got
mystery.
those. This has got the sizzling going on.
Yeah, that's got sizzles.
There you got the Parmesan, the steak. Look at that steak right there. Sam, you eat a lot of steak. Is that a good looking steak?
That is a superb looking steak.
Yeah, and that's like steak medallion.
Oh,
so you know, it's kind of a prize.
It's
in
kind
its
of
own.
the best. Yeah, the best form of steak.
the best form of Italian steak.
The Italians really know how to do steak. I think they were the first to come up with the idea of steak.
The Italians know how to do everything. They know how to do dads. They know how to do food. They know how to do moms.
And they know how to do uncles.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely got the uncle part down.
It is good that we're getting some solid uncle representation.
That wasn't really in anything from season 1. Did we talk uncles?
I don't... Not that
There was
I
like
can
a
remember
grandma.
being explicitly
I don't
uncle.
remember any uncles.
Because there's a lot of very immediate family, you know.
Right.
But now we're introducing the uncle element, and I think this
The uncle element
adds a real good amount of depth to the world building.
Yeah, that's really interesting that you would say that, because it is true.
What do you think they mean when they had a ball?
Yeah, is that like a reference to something?
My brothers and I got our families together.
Because are the kids playing with a ball in the background?
Oh, they could
At
be.
at the backyard or front yard? He goes, we had a ball, but he's saying they're the ones having a ball back there because they have a ball.
Yeah.
Maybe they had a meatball.
It could have been a meatball.
Oh, that would be really interesting if he was like, we had a ball, and he's like talking about that jumbo meatball they shared.
Yeah.
Is Olive Garden known for their
Yeah, they do
meatballs?
have a really big one for the whole family meatball.
Oh yeah, the family.
It's kind of
ball.
like the Bloomin' Onion at Outback Steakhouse, but it's just a giant meatball.
Interesting.
I have an interesting fact for you guys.
Yeah, go for it.
Did you know Olive Garden created Plants vs. Zombies? That's why when you go there, you see Plants vs. Zombies.
They have it on the
that
little iPad.
tablet.
They have
Yeah,
a little iPad.
yeah,
Yeah,
Olive Garden
yeah.
created that.
Wow, that's an Olive Garden original game. I didn't even know Olive Garden had game studios.
Yeah, and actually, more about that. Originally, it was going to be salad versus breadsticks, but they decided they didn't want people to think that they had to choose between the two. They wanted them to have both.
Right, but Plants vs. Zombies, that's pretty clear cut. Man, that chicken breast is just getting sautéed more than I could even imagine. Interesting thing about this commercial is there's kind of, this one has no prices. Some of the commercials they're really selling their prices, but this one
Yeah, this is really selling the experience and the cream level, I feel.
yeah, and like honestly, with that much cream, I'd pay any amount for that.
Those are the two big things that strike me with this commercial. It's really selling the, hey, when you're here, yeah, your family, but also your uncles. And also, you're going to get some really creamy stuff and polenta. I still don't know what that really is, but it looks so creamy. The cheese is going everywhere. It's just,
Yeah, I like the uncle, like how in the final overhead shot they still like are holding the breadsticks, and the one uncle's like gesturing with it.
Oh, I didn't know.
Did anyone? I feel like other people also had. Oh, he at the beginning he's holding a knife. But then he like, was it like a threat? Was it like your favorite uncle? And then he looks over at the other uncle and he's like holding a knife up.
Yeah,
at him.
see, that could lean into what I was talking about earlier about how he's probably that's not really his favorite uncle also, but he just
He felt threatened.
yeah.
See, that
Plus
someone across the table also had a breadstick.
Yeah, they all, unlimited breadsticks, gotta have them all. But also, right at the end there, the uncle that he gives the smaller breadstick to, sort of has his hands, like his hand, like on the kid's shoulder.
Yeah.
I don't know, seems a little invasive to me.
Yeah, I think he just straight up robbed him of a breadstick at knife point, right there in that Olive Garden.
I think that was kind of like the slight like reassurance kind of thing, but also like yeah, you gave me the breadstick this time, but you gotta stay in line, kid.
I'll give you something that's not a breadstick. Yeah, I think it's interesting. You see how close he was in that one shot. He was like really up in his space. Yeah, the thing about Olive Garden commercials, the reason they have so many layers, like all those layers of Alfredo sauce, is because there's always kind of a darker angle, you know?
Yeah. Well, there definitely is that possibility, but I don't want to go immediately into the dark zone here, because I think there could be a more benign answer to this one.
Okay, all right.
I think it could just be that the other uncle there that doesn't get the big breadstick, he's just trying too hard to be like the favorite uncle, and it comes across kind of like, it's just, he's being a tryhard.
Yeah, I think he is putting a little like. Being
And
an
the
uncle
other
is
uncle,
just like you gotta just feel. You gotta go
right.
with the
So the
flow.
other uncle just comes so naturally to him. He's just so chill.
He's
He's
a natural
cool guy.
uncle.
He's a natural
What
uncle.
if the other guy's more of a dad and now he's trying to be an uncle?
Yeah, that's probably what happened. He was set in the dad role, and now he's trying to get in the
You
uncle
say
role.
this guy looks a little older than the other guy?
Very well could be. Very well could be.
Not that's necessarily a dad indicator, but like it could be. I'm just
Yeah.
wondering if one of the other kids at the table is his child, and he's like, he's trying to get out of dad mode and get over
Right, like
onto
maybe
the side of the table
he's
where he goes
sick
go
of
uncle mode.
he's sick of having to do the dad routine where can't have any fun. He's gotta be
day
dad,
after day,
but he
dad
wants to
after
be the
dad,
fun
yeah.
uncle. But I think he might just be like leaning into it a bit too hard. He's not going with the flow like you said. He's trying to make it happen. But
What do you
gotta
think,
go with
Sam?
the flow.
Dad or uncle?
I think the guy on the right is definitely a dad. He's forcing his will on that little boy, and that little boy doesn't seem to like it. But the other guy is more chill and collected, just like you said.
Yeah, that's a great point.
My brothers and I got our families together at Olive Garden the other night.
I like how, like every shot that it cuts in, like somebody's already laughing. Like that's a just
That's
a classic
Olive
Garden
Garden
right there. Yeah.
technique to have. Like, you're gonna have shots of people in your commercial 90% of the time or more. They got to be laughing.
Yeah, I kind of want to take it to a bit of a different perspective we haven't considered yet. So all the stuff at the restaurant is usually like slice of life stuff, it's almost voyeuristic in a way because we're not included. But the shots where they're out in the like backyard, or they're talking to, who are they talking to? Why are they making this video on their front porch talking about their experience at Olive Garden? Like,
Yeah, that's true. That's a really good point because it totally is just like when they're at Olive Garden, it's like that's just what it is when you're there. That's how they're acting, like normal, right?
yeah.
But the mom is totally just talking directly to the camera.
Right, yeah, and yeah, exactly.
There's no even subtext of.
So it's like, is she supposed to be talking to us? Like, are
Well, it
we
definitely
just
is talking
hanging
directly
out?
to the audience.
Are we like just
in that
hanging out with
sense.
them on the porch?
There's that. It could have been they had like they were interviewed or something like that.
Maybe it's like local news, like local news, like somebody was out there scoping out the area and just saw this whole big family having a great time at Olive Garden. They're like, I need to get to the bottom of this. I need to get the full story on this. So they sent out a whole film crew to their house and they interviewed them around the porch, and they were like, this is a #1 story in the 10 o'clock news tonight. Can you please tell us why you were at Olive Garden and what happened?
Yeah, probably. I mean, this would be sort of record-setting news.
Yeah, I just like how
terms of views.
that shot of them on the porch, presumably it's shot with the house behind the person shooting it, but it's such a wide shot. That must be a big porch.
It was probably a really big porch because the whole yard seemed really big. You could see the kids back there kind of running around, tossing balls and stuff, and they're
Yeah.
really spread out.
And to me, it looked like a front porch, but a backyard. What do you make of that?
I have to disagree. I think this is a back porch. It's a kind of raised
Yeah, once I
back
saw that
porch.
chair on it, I might have changed my mind. I could see
Yeah,
that.
because they had the porch furniture.
Yeah.
Which, granted, that doesn't guarantee that it's a back
Like,
versus front.
the
but-
orientation of that chair suggested there might have been like a whole table there.
Right, and that would guarantee it. You can have front porch chairs, but nobody has a front porch table.
Yeah, unless it's just for like playing chess or something. that's like a different situation. And this one looked like a full-on dinner experience.
I think it could go either way. I think that's what Olive Garden's trying to portray, that they could go either way.
Yeah, kind of like how this guy goes
Yeah.
either way with the breadsticks. And like how the two guys could go either way. Are they brothers? Are they dating? Are they married? Who knows?
Yeah, I think all we can know for sure is that there is some rivalry between those two. It's probably a good-hearted, fun in nature sort of rivalry, but I think maybe down a couple layers it might get a bit more serious.
If I had to give this commercial a title, I don't actually remember if it had a title, but if I had to give this commercial a title, or even just summarize it in one word, it would be rivalry.
Yeah. I'd agree with that. Maybe
You can have 2 words if you want, I don't care.
maybe uncle rivalry.
There you go.
'Cause it's all about uncle, and it's about that rivalry.
Yep. And
Maybe a creamy uncle rivalry.
Yeah,
because
that-
that cream shot is too good to not.
Yeah, honestly,
to
that kind
not,
of sticks with me
sort
for
of
the
seep
rest
into
of the
whole
commercial.
commercial.
Yeah. Now I just imagine every shot covered in cream.
Well, they're probably eating a lot of stuff covered in cream.
Yeah, I feel like cream is kind of hanging in the air of every shot,
Yeah.
you know? Just kind of cream as a metaphor and also kind of as a, you know, everything.
Polenta.
Polenta.
What colors do you guys think you see the most in this commercial?
It's pretty bright. I'll definitely
There's
give
a
you
lot
that.
of red. Red is pretty strong.
Yeah, some of the... Yeah, it's interesting to me the uncles have different shirts on, so that must be a different day. Yeah,
Right.
they're wearing slightly more muted colors in the... at the restaurant, but then they're a bit more casual on the porch. They've got their bright sweaters on.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, they got some red steak.
Yeah, that red
got
steak
those
sticks
little
with me.
bits
More
of
than anything,
tomato
that
in
white
there.
cream
The white cream is really.
just gets into my, you know,
Yeah.
I just can't stop thinking about that. It just seeps into all the, you know, the pores of the commercial.
Do you think that the...
Okay, the other night. So it was like a night ago or so.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
point. What was that, Sam?
do you think that the green in the background at the beginning of the commercial is like a salad? And it's like the entree. It's the entree to the course, and it's the entree to this commercial.
That's interesting. That is such a lush green backyard. It does kind of give me like lettuce and like salad vibes. You know?
Come on, pass a breadstick to your favorite uncle.
Yeah, you're definitely right about that. This has a little bit more of the muted, like, beige Olive Garden color scheme when they're in the restaurant, but when they're out of the restaurant, the colors are just blasting.
You know, if we look at this with kind of a like literary and structural lens, would you consider this to be a story presented in media res?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it starts with them outside, which we know now is in the present, I suppose, and the scenes in the restaurant are in the past.
Yeah, there are two different flashbacks.
And then it ends by going back to that original scene.
Yeah, although I guess that the second one's pretty short, but it's still, you know,
Right.
it's something.
But that, you know, it sums it up there.
It sums it up.
Yeah, I just think it's an interesting use of kind of narrative control there.
Yeah, some really fast, like, editing. Like, it's so seamless one to the next. Like, it happens before you know it. They're talking in the present, and all of a sudden you're watching a clip from the past. You know, it's
Yeah.
just really... There's no, like, there's not, like, a warp transition or anything to indicate that you're going back in time, or not, like, a little sound effect that's like...
Right. So if we go back to the idea of the uncle to the right of the kid being a little bit more like new to the uncle thing,
New to the uncle
and
scene, yeah.
trying a bit too hard maybe. You can see that when he's in the restaurant, he's wearing like a button-down shirt with a collar, and he has a nice watch. And that kind of seems like a
Right.
very dad attire compared to the other uncle who just has like a long sleeve shirt or kind of a sweater sort of thing. It's got stripes on it. Those stripes are pretty chill.
Yeah, you're right. The uncle on the
horizontal
right
stripes,
definitely looks
yeah.
more business-like.
Yeah, he looks more business-like, more dad-like. And then when you see him in the outside shot, which we know is later on in the timeline, he's wearing very similar stuff to the other uncle.
That's
now.
true. He's
they
starting to
both
kind of
have the
transition
sort of
a little
sweater
ways.
thing,
Yeah,
and he doesn't have the watch.
He's going. He's,
he doesn't
he's
have the
growing.
watch, which is a big
he's
thing.
kind of growing in his life to become an uncle.
And the thing is, I think it's definitely that he was consciously choosing to try and be more laid back because I know that if you have that watch, you don't take it off lightly. You know, you have a reason to stop wearing that watch.
A reason, yeah, it's kind of a turning point in your life. Yeah, it's really interesting. A lot of people would say, 30-second commercial, you can't really have character development, character arcs, but I think this commercial has one.
Oh, absolutely.
My brothers and I got our families together.
Max, I think that's a really good point.
Thanks, Sam.
Yeah, it's hard not to kind of think of it that way now. At first I thought it was like a knife. He was like a little upset, but now I think maybe actually he was just kind of had a lot bottled up inside. You see how much he's laughing in that last shot? Where there's a lot of shots where he's laughing.
There's a lot of laughter, a lot of fun, a lot of family.
These kids are growing up a lot like we did.
Yeah, around family.
Yeah, for sure.
My brothers and I got our families together at Olive Garden the other night.
Come on, pass a breadstick to your favorite uncle.
Is there something in Olive Garden that makes everyone laugh? Because every commercial I see of Olive Garden, everybody's laughing.
I feel like
just how good the food is, and the fact that when you're there, you're family, and when you're with your family, you're having a good time, and you're gonna be laughing up a storm.
it's like, has something ever been like so good that you like couldn't even believe it was real, and all you can do is just start laughing?
Yeah, it's sort of like you get sent into this state of like disbelief, and your body naturally chooses to laugh to sort of relieve that tension.
Yeah, every time they bring out a new plate,
it's just so good.
Every time they bring out a new plate, I just like start crying, but it's from joy. It's just like, I cannot believe this, how good this breadsticks and Alfredo sauce is.
And I mean, think about it. You're eating something that creamy, and you're eating one of those steak medallions with polenta on it. Creamy polenta on there, and you're gonna just blow your mind with how good that is, and you're just gonna crack up. You're gonna be a lunatic. You're gonna be laughing, and you can't even
Definitely
stop.
going to blow my mind.
You know what they say? If it seems too real to be true, it is real. Olive Garden.
Right, that's the Olive
what they
Garden
say.
difference.
My
Yeah.
dad said that, so it's got to be true.
There you go.
Dads are true.
Dads and no. There's such an intricate connection between Olive Garden and dads.
There's
you
a lot
know?
of truth in dads.
Yeah, and Olive Garden, so they kind of relate pretty well to each other.
Try Olive Garden's two new Parmesan polenta crusted dishes. Sauteed chicken breast topped with a golden Parmesan crust, or try our tender steak medallions, both with mezzaluna ravioli.
Do you even catch? I didn't even notice that until now. Mezzaluna ravioli.
Mezzaluna ravioli.
They didn't put that in text on the screen, but it was there. What
Isn't a mezzaluna one of those like a big kind of knife thing that you like wiggle back and forth to do the cut? Like it has like two handles on either end, and there's like a big blade in between.
Oh yeah, one of those like.
Yeah, it's like it kind of looks like a crescent moon almost.
But it's like a
blade,
giant
and there's,
knife
like-
that you could like kill someone with.
I mean, you could. It's really. Just
It's really for cutting
s-
ravioli.
like- yeah, I wonder if it's just describing the shape, because.
Around family.
Oh, are they? See, I thought you were going forward. They cut the ravioli with this big knife, but actually you're saying this
That could
ravioli
be
is
too,
shaped
but it
like-
could be shaped like that.
Feels like bow tie macaroni.
I mean, I'm not quite caught up on my Italian, but
like
the-
bow tie macaroni, they don't like make it. They don't like cut it with a bow tie. It just looks like a bow tie.
right, and mezzaluna could just mean like crescent moon or half moon
Yeah, I
or
know. It
something.
did kind of look like it was split in half, but if you had put them back together, it did kind of look like a
right,
crescent moon,
because the
right?
thing is, you look at normal, quote unquote normal ravioli, which is I think around here normally it's like the square ravioli.
Yeah.
So this is definitely like a different shape. So I think that's probably
Yeah, that's really
the origin
interesting.
there.
That's just, it's in the details with Olive Garden, you know.
Yeah, if any of our listeners out there know more about Italian or just about pasta, please comment down below on what it really means.
You know,
We
shapes
get to
and
the bottom
stuff.
of this.
Olive Garden, they've got all these little references to things like that. Like, I wouldn't have even picked up on that, but, like, you knew what that was, you know? It's pretty interesting that, it's really kind of it's a work of art almost, you know?
Yeah.
Where there's new surprises around every turn, and the more you turn, the more you're surprised.
You think if you took a couple criminals to Olive Garden, they'd be like laughing a lot and then turn into family?
Yes, I don't think Olive Garden limits who can be in your family by like what they're whether they have like felonies on their record or whether they've what their line of work is. I don't think it matters. Olive Garden is it goes across borders, all sorts of divisions. It's just when you're here, your family. I mean, they don't put an asterisk on that. There's no exceptions.
Right. It's unconditional. Unconditional family is what you get.
And that's the best kind of family,
I got our families together at Olive Garden the other night.
I love how is that the mom sitting on the far left in the opening shot? I think
That's a really good question because I actually
there's actually
have
someone
not
else that
pinpointed
kind of looks
which
like
one
her
is
as
the
well.
mom yet.
Because it's so interesting because whoever that woman is, she like lets out a big laugh right when the commercial starts. Then she points to someone to her left.
You think if someone breaks their ankles and they feel really bad, do you think they'd feel better going to the hospital or going to Olive Garden?
I'd say let's hit Olive Garden on the way.
So I'm not sure yet, but I think that the mom is sitting across the table from the kid.
See, that was my thought too, right? The woman that points and laughs at the beginning, I think that's her, yeah. But there is someone else.
There was
who
a woman
could
sitting
be
like
her.
at the head of the table.
Yeah.
And I don't.
It's not
think
her.
It's not her.
Are there any other women? I don't think adult women. I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure it's the one sitting across the table from the kid.
I think you're right. Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
And she lets
She
out a
does
big
the
laugh.
laugh and points.
Points at the woman who might be her sister, perhaps. We
Could
can't
be,
sure. But I
or
also
probably more likely sister-in-law.
Right. See, I was just wondering about that. If there's no way that there's no no spouses there, right?
And unless you go with your theory of those two uncles being a couple, actually,
That's kind of a crazy theory. I think that's kind of like a
it's not a crazy theory.
yeah.
I wouldn't immediately discount it. It's probably not what the directors were actually
I feel like it's
going
less of a
for.
theory and more like a second reading of the commercial.
Right. It's this commercial leaves a lot to be interpreted, and I think you
And there's
can get out of
there's
it
no
what
right
you
or
wanna
wrong
get
answer.
out of it.
There's no
Right. There's many different interpretations, but yeah, I think it is probably more likely that is a sister-in-law. Yeah.
Can we account for are there four? There is another at least
Yeah, there's another woman.
woman to the lower right of that
Lower
first
right,
shot.
right.
And then there's the other guy who we think might be the
Yeah, there's
kid's
one other
dad.
guy.
So there's three.
So that makes three
and three,
three
right?
and three.
I feel like that's got to be somewhat intentional on their part. Would you think? Like I feel like
Right,
the
well, it would,
traditional
you know,
look on this commercial would probably be that there's three heterosexual couples there.
That is the traditional reading on this, sure.
It doesn't necessarily mean it's correct, but I feel
Right.
like that's. I don't know. I find it hard to believe that's a coincidence. That the,
I mean,
the
given
numbers work out
the
like that.
given the time and the era where this is made, that probably is the correct interpretation.
Yeah.
But like I said before, I think they also kind of leave it up to interpretation. So like the correct interpretation isn't really what you should be focusing on so much.
Right.
My brothers and I got our families together at Olive Garden the other
Yeah, so it's definitely.
I've got a lot of questions. One of them that I keep wondering is what kind of game are the kids playing in the backyard there? Like, are they throwing around a frisbee or a
Well,
ball?
someone was on a swing in a giant
Yeah, I feel like
tree.
they were kind of off on their own, but yeah.
So they must have a really big backyard for how big that tree looked.
Right. Agreed.
But yeah, there were some games going on, some yard games for sure.
Yeah, I think you can only really see it in the first shot because yeah. See,
Yeah,
there's that
they're
white
tossing some
thing
ball
that-
around.
That's probably a ball. I don't know.
It looked like a ball because I kind of had that parabolic arc. And then
balls
they said
have,
we were
right.
having a ball, so I'm pretty sure
Which
they
is
were-
a reference
It's
to the
because
ball.
they were playing ball out back. Yeah.
Yeah. It was probably like, maybe there's like a full cut of that clip where if you hear before it, he's like, well, they're back there having a ball, but we're the ones, we had a ball.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Or
Right.
he's like, we had a ball, kind of like that ball over there.
I think we should start taking a look at the drinks.
Interesting. Interesting. Is that a drink? Is that like a drink cup?
I think that might be like
Is it like
butter
a
or
kid's
something.
cup? Oh, it's butter. Okay.
Maybe it's a kid's cup. It's probably a kid's
It
cup,
looks
actually.
like a kid's cup. It
It's a
probably
kid's
has
cup.
chocolate milk. in
They,
it.
Yeah,
they wouldn't
probably
have
is chocolate milk.
they wouldn't have consumer butter. They'd have professional butter.
Yeah, well, the uncle on the left surely has a glass of wine.
Okay, so the
uncle on the
uncle,
right
the
has
cool
like a-
uncle has a big glass of beer.
Wait, really?
Yeah, the one on the left.
I thought that he had wine and the other one had like tea. Does he have like?
No, I think the wine is from the woman across the the mom.
Oh,
the mom
yeah,
has
yeah.
the wine. The uncle with the gray sweater or long sleeve has a big old thing of beer.
Oh, wow,
Which is
interesting.
definitely fits in with like the cool uncle
Yeah, the
sort
cool
of thing.
kind of vibe. Yeah.
Um,
But then the other uncle has like an iced tea, right?
Yeah, look, it could be an iced tea,
And then you-
or
yeah.
it could be a beer, but it definitely I would go more with the iced tea.
Yeah, and in that last aerial shot, you get a good look at those kitty cups. They got like a lid, so they
Yeah,
don't tip
yeah.
over. They all have like definitely like the red lid, and they maybe like a wacky
Right,
straw or
it's
something.
spill proof, so that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I don't know. This kid seems pretty savvy. I feel like he doesn't really need a spill-proof cup.
Right,
He's able
he's-
to be
he's
whipping out his
kinda-
breadsticks. I think he's pretty quick on the draw.
pretty smart for his age, I'd say.
Yeah, but like there's another one of those
right,
cups
yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff. Yeah,
Family.
Man, it goes so fast. There's definitely some other.
Together at Olive Garden.
It's
Like,
got fast
other
cuts. This one
one
has
has
faster cuts than
wine.
most. Yeah.
It's just water on the right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then in the outdoor shot, the cool uncle doesn't really have anything, and then the other uncle has like a glass of water. You think is what that is? Does it look like water? It looks kind of
Yeah.
red tinted, but I'm not.
That might just be a
that-
shirt. I'm
Could
not
just
sure.
be for sure.
I assume it's a glass of water, but I don't actually know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're right that the drinks that the uncles are drinking at the table completely are in line with kind of the theories we've developed
Right,
about
they
their
fit
personalities.
the sort of profiles that we're looking at.
Yeah, but I feel like there has to be some significance, to that glass of water that he has. Is that really water? It looks kind of dark.
Well, it does there, but then well, that shot right there, you can kind of.
Yeah, it looked less
It sort
dark,
of seems like the light's going through it a bit more clearly, but
I can't really disagree with
I
that,
can't.
I guess.
I can't say it's not something else. My money would be on it being water in there.
Yeah, it's really the age of these commercials. They're using old technology. It doesn't quite get the HD clarity, but the commercials everything. It really, the family atmosphere really shines through, regardless of the quality.
Yeah. It would be nice to get this direct from the source, straight off the negatives, but we don't have that luxury here. So
Yeah, it's just the way it goes.
gotta make do with what we got.
Absolutely. Polenta crusted.
Two polenta crusted.
Oh, so the
dishes.
polenta must be like
It's-
that
it's
weird
probably the crispy
breading
bit,
stuff.
yeah.
Polenta is that crispy stuff.
'Cause it's crusted with it. I don't think it's gonna be crusted with like the creamy stuff.
Right.
Yeah, around family.
I wonder if that means that
Brothers and I got our
they
families
grew
together at
up in Olive Garden as well.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. Olive Garden's a classic tradition. I wouldn't.
Right.
be
It's
too
it's
surprised.
probably hinting about a deep-held family tradition of eating
going
at Olive
of
Garden.
going
yeah.
to Olive Garden. Yeah. What, Sam? Do you think? Did you ever go to Olive Garden with your family?
Yeah, I always loved it. I went there with my grandma and grandpa, and then they died, and then I still wanted to go to Olive Garden.
Right. Well, hey, we might go after this actually.
Yeah, we could go.
together at Olive
Um,
Garden the other night.
Come on, pass a breadstick to your favorite uncle.
We're definitely gonna have some pasta. That's.
I
the
really
fact.
like the moment of tension. That's such a rare thing in an Olive Garden commercial because most of
Right.
the time they're cracking up the entire
Right,
time.
and the thing is, these are all like even this one. They're all just so fast-paced. There's like barely any time to build up that like suspense and.
So that one
so-
second of tension lasts an eternity.
Right, and that just goes to show how important it is for this.
Right, it's
'cause
like they're giving up
willing to
precious.
leave
They're
that
giving up
pause
precious
in.
airtime. Can you imagine how many millions it costs just for that 1 second? You know.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, this probably aired on the Super Bowl or something.
Parmesan polenta crusted dishes. Sauteed chicken breast topped with a golden Parmesan crust, or try our tender steak medallions. Both
Yeah, do we know what year this commercial came out?
You know, I don't, but I want to say this whole campaign is from like the late 90s to about 2006, 2008.
Okay, so it definitely could have been in one of those Super Bowls.
Well, they actually do have the Super Bowl every year, so yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there's a good chance.
There's a good chance that it was at a
it's on the
Super Bowl.
You think they
I mean-
throw breadsticks at the Super Bowl?
Probably.
Yeah.
At least they did whatever one that this commercial aired in.
Right, they were probably so excited for the premiere. Of the
I think
Olive
that was
Garden.
actually the halftime.
It was just
show.
throwing breadsticks around.
Yeah, they had
right?
the breadstick cannon. You know, you normally have like
Yeah,
t-shirt
and they
cannon.
also had that kid there, and he was whipping them out left and right, just like he does in the commercial.
Right, yeah, he's saying everyone's my favorite uncle.
Yeah. He's saying, "Wow, a whole stadium full of my favorite uncles."
When you're here, you're my favorite uncle.
Yeah.
Try Olive Garden's 2 new Parmesan.
I think it's kind of interesting how he kind of teases the uncle on the right, where the breadstick comes out a fraction of a second early when it goes to the right uncle, and then the
Oh, does it now?
and then the left uncle. So I feel like he's teasing him a little bit there, being like, "You're my favorite uncle." Just kidding. I picked a tie to appease you
My
both.
brothers and I got our families together at Olive Garden the other night.
Come on, pass
Take
a
a look.
breadstick to your favorite uncle.
He totally flips that one up before he flips the other one
Yeah.
up, right?
New Parmesan polenta crusted dishes. Sauteed
I'm not
chicken
quite
breast
sure what
topped
that
with a
says,
golden
but
Parmesan crust,
definitely
or
says
try our tender
something.
steak medallions.
I feel like he was just kind of teasing with him a bit, like,
Or Italian
you know, he's like, "Oh, this guy's kind of more of a dad style guy." I'm kind of,
Yeah.
It's kind of like a joke. I'd be like, he's like, "Oh, well, maybe he's actually, you know,
Right.
gave him to both."
So
Families together at Olive
on
Garden
the
other
on
night.
the end shot of the in the Olive Garden thing, the uncle on the right like is holding his breadstick up, sort of like how he's holding the knife up earlier.
Yeah, I feel like
Then
holding
the other
things up.
uncle is doing something under the table, and is he holding his breadstick under the table, or is something else going on?
Did he
there?
have his breadstick like popping out of his
He-
lap
like,
there?
Yeah, because he's pointing with his hand, and then his other hand like pops up, and it looks like he has his breadstick there.
What's he
almost at,
doing-
like, crotch level.
What's he doing with the breadstick all the way down there?
See, that's what's confusing me.
Yeah, that's bizarre because like I don't know why the breadstick would ever need to go below table level.
Right. I mean,
Unless
I
you're
get,
doing what the kid is doing, which is like revealing them, but otherwise.
well, he wasn't. I mean, he was pulling him out of the basket, so it's like that.
Oh yeah, they
makes
still
sense.
weren't down at crotch. But yeah,
So-
you're right. He kind of rises it up at the end.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it
it's
got a
like
little
why
bit
does
of
he
a-
why does he have that down there? What's
Yeah.
he trying to do?
Families together at Olive Garden.
You're right. That kind of suggests there's some suspiciousness on the part of that uncle.
Maybe he's trying to spook the people, and the other uncle's trying to point at those people like he's cool guy.
Yeah. Again, it's just such a yeah. See, on the one hand it's shady. On the other hand, maybe it's just kind of an uncle move.
You know, these kids are growing up a lot like we did.
Yeah, around
Just-
family.
I really don't get it, because look, you're either gonna put it on the plate if you don't want to eat it, or you're gonna be like kind of holding it like the other guy was if you're like about to eat it.
It wouldn't go down that low. I mean, I'd be too hungry to put it that far from my mouth. I'd be like, I
Right.
gotta get it from plate to mouth as soon as possible.
That's really shaking everything I thought I knew.
Yeah, because like, why would like the cool uncle do that?
Maybe it's really just
These kids are growing up a lot like we did.
maybe he's more of a liar than we thought.
You know, my brothers and I got
Does
our
he
families
say
together
anything?
at
Oh,
Olive
he says
Garden
we
the
had a
other night.
ball. That's the one thing he says in the porch scene.
We had a ball.
Yeah. I just can't get over the noise that the guy on the right makes.
It's
like-
a really good noise.
He's like, oh, and then the other guy just like smiles, but he's like, oh, yeah, you know, he's like, oh. Can you make that noise, Sam?
Oh!
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
You know, my brothers and I got our families together at Olive Garden the other night.
Come on, pass a
Yeah, I
breadstick
mean,
to
I'm
your
not sure if
favorite
the
uncle.
quote-unquote cool uncle is really the nefarious one here, but he definitely seems to be the instigator of this rivalry.
Yeah, he's kind of more of a mischief maker.
You know, I mean, he prompted the question, you know, he's kind of egging it on, you know.
Right.
You know, these kids are growing up a lot like we did.
Yeah, around family.
Olive Garden, when you're here, your family.
You know, my brothers and I got our families
There's
together
got to be
at
more
all of
layers
Garden
to.
the other night.
I always wonder about the people. We said there was no waiters, but there is like a waiter or waitress.
Oh, there's
that walks
waiters.
by in the
There's
background.
definitely a waiter.
Yeah, they just don't ever interact with the family.
There's no
It's
interaction,
interesting
but
to
they're
me.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're always there.
I wonder if. I feel like we've never seen like Olive Garden commercials that have like the same people in the backgrounds who are in other commercials from in the foreground. You know.
That'd be something interesting to take kind of a deep dive on at some point, but we can start looking at some of the people on the sidelines here because there are a few interesting characters.
Yeah, for sure.
So you get right there was the waitress, I assume,
Yeah.
passing by, taking a look at the table, which is good, you know, and make sure they're
Keeping an eye on it. That's
keeping an eye
what
on
they
it.
do. That's what they
That's
do.
their
at the
job.
Olive
That's
Garden, yeah.
and they don't take their job lightly there.
Right.
But you got that guy in the back that's kind of got like sort of long hair, looks kind of like a teenager. You sort of had those
Kinda
like
going teen
plaid
mode.
shorts that are kind of like maybe cargo shorts sort of thing.
Right.
And then there's a guy sitting like behind the kid.
Yeah, who we really
and
get
the
a real
uncles.
good look at towards the end.
Yeah.
Or maybe with the breadstick scene, I guess. We get a real good look at him.
Because right at the end you see that the like sort of maybe a teen guy back there.
Yeah.
But yeah, the guy right behind him.
Together at Olive Garden the other night.
Yeah, right here you get a real good look at the guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there you go.
He like
See?
almost looks over and then he's like, "Oh, that's a very personal moment. I shouldn't be
Right,
looking
he didn't
at
want to
that."
get involved.
Yeah.
He was there with his own family.
I feel like he had a slight glance over though. Maybe it was a jealous glance. Maybe he wishes he had uncles like that.
Right. But I mean, they are both at Olive Garden at the same time, so technically they are family.
Right, yeah, that's the thing, is Olive Garden is really without borders, and that includes the borders between each table. If he wants to come over and say, "Can you be my uncle too?" He has to say yes, because when you're here, you're family.
Right. You can't say no.
What are you kind of like finding over there, Sam?
Well, I'm thinking about the lady that walks past him who smiles, but you can't see her whole face.
The waitress?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. You think she kind of reads it and she's like, "I shouldn't get involved here. This is a dangerous situation."
I think she's thinking, man, this is a good family moment. I need to leave. This is what Olive Garden wants.
Right, yeah, maybe she feels the same as the guy in the back. They're like, "I can't disturb this right now." Which is like, I don't know, I respect that. You know, Olive Garden understands that, you know, sometimes family moments are best left uninterrupted.
You know, my brothers and I got our families together at Olive Garden the other night.
Come on, pass a breadstick to your favorite uncle.
The music is so upbeat.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. Music is really a key part of this.
And it gets a little jazzy towards the end, yeah.
Yeah, it gets really
Kind of bouncy.
it gets really exciting during the food shot there.
Right.
I think we needed an Olive Garden march, marching for more Olive Gardens. Marching
Absolutely.
for Olive Gardens in space.
Yeah, and we can march to
Yeah.
the song.
Stick to your favorite uncle.
You know, really, we talked about how fast-paced this commercial is. It's almost like breathless. You know, it's hard to get. You know, it's hard to
Yeah,
kind
there's-
of take a breath because
There's
it's so.
the one moment of pause, and you know, normally I feel like the food shot sections are kind of another moment of pause, but this one
It just
I
keeps
feel
rolling.
it's just so creamy, and the
Yeah.
polenta and stuff is hard to slow down.
And
at
the
all.
soundtrack, the music really drives.
Right,
that.
that's the other thing because it goes up in energy right at the food section.
Yeah, but I think that's just to make his moment of pause all the more
Right,
intense.
right,
And all
because
the
it
more
needs,
striking.
you need to
so-
have you know, you need to be compare the two to
Yeah.
really see.
Like I'm gonna be going to bed tonight, you know, getting all relaxed, and all of a sudden it'll hit me. Just the gravity of that moment, just the empty. It's like a vacuum, you know. Just the
Right.
emptiness of that moment, the uncertainty of it, you know, and the anxiety that comes from just. It's only maybe 1 second on the film, but it feels like it lasts an eternity.
Right.
I'm not forgetting that anytime soon, is what I'm saying.
No, this is one that's gonna definitely stick with me.
Yeah. Also, we should note that even though there's no prices on the polenta or whatever, it is new.
it's new.
They make it clear that it's new.
Yeah, and they both come with the mezzalune ravioli.
Oh,
so,
really? That's a good deal, though, isn't it?
And what was it? Four cheese? Is
Four
that
cheese
right?
wrap.
Yeah,
Mezza,
four cheese.
Mezzanola, whatever
That's a
called,
good.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Good amount of cheese. That's good. And you saw that when they cut into that ravioli and they kind of pull it, and you could see the cheese like string. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
the
look
cheese
at those
string
cheesy
pull.
strings.
That man, that just goes to show the quality.
Yeah, I like that you have the real kind of subtlety of just the few cheese strings there, and then it immediately cuts to just the fucking avalanche of Alfredo
Oh
sauce.
yeah.
And then you see the steam on all the food.
Yeah, the steam is important, especially in that sizzling
Yeah.
shot there.
Yeah, this really is all about contrast.
Yeah, I do see some contrast in this commercial.
You know, these kids are growing up a lot like we did.
Yeah, around family.
They got really prime seating at Olive Garden, so it looks like they're right in front of like the fireplace section.
Right, it does feel very homey.
It's like you're at home. It's like
Yeah.
it's not just you're not just family with the people there, but also a part of the family is the building itself.
Right.
We can't forget that like all these commercials would even only be made possible with the the beautiful architecture of every Olive Garden building itself, right?
Right.
Which is kind of an interesting thing I didn't really consider.
Yeah, and each one's unique, but they all have that very cozy feel that really makes you feel at home and makes you feel like you're with your family, because you are.
Yeah, and I don't know, we kind of discussed like sort of some inter-table, inter-family mingling. I think that's all the more significant due to the fact that their backyard has an extremely tall, opaque white fence. I feel like this family kind of stays contained when they're in the backyard. But when they're out in Olive Garden, it's like the family atmosphere.
Yeah,
just, like,
it's the
permeates
one
the
time
air.
when they can really let loose and get connect with everyone.
Because everyone there is family.
I agree.
Right, exactly. It's so interesting that you see, everything from the designs on the plates to the some more designs on the plates, and then that big three-pronged fork.
Yeah, that's interesting. They go with the three-pronged fork.
Yeah, but
It makes sense for the salad.
There were
They're
three different
using it
shots of it. They stabbed it into the
for-
steak
yeah.
medallion and the ravioli.
So not only
and the
are they
salad.
using a three-pronged fork for salad, but also for ravioli and for steak.
Yeah. Oh, that just gets me every time. I wonder how many times they had to, before they had to like work on that perfect execution before it really like had that the breadsticks had that
Yeah.
perfect like bounce to them,
Well, I mean, the chemistry in this whole thing is just
Chemistry.
off the charts.
I wonder
They
about
have
the
real
yeah.
chemistry.
There's a
here.
lot of chemistry in this. I also wonder about the chemical composition of that thick ass Alfredo sauce.
Yeah, it's definitely.
Brothers and I got our families together.
They had a lot of science in that, for sure.
Yeah, I
to
think
get
we
to
were
that
really
level.
didn't even consider like the science angle of this whole thing. You talked about looking through it from a literary lens, but what about the scientific lens?
This definitely.
I mean, Olive Garden's kind of a miracle of science, wouldn't you say?
Right, it is, and definitely seems like they must have done a lot of experimentation and research to get to that level of cream.
Yeah, and I'm not just talking about food science and like chemistry. I'm also talking about biological science, as in once you go into a building, you become family.
Right, and the social science of these dynamics.
Kind of the psychological aspect. Yeah. It's really interesting. You could. It's amazing how much they encapsulate in one Olive Garden commercial, because you just see, you can just branch out. I mean, we could do a whole hour on each one of those topics. You just think about all the the centuries and centuries of just the sum of all human knowledge that is contained within just this 30-second tight package of Olive Garden. And then it goes out and airs on, every TV in America and around the world.
Yeah.
I mean, what a cultural diaspora that is, right?
Right, yeah.
I mean, you have any thoughts on that, Sam?
I'm thinking about how you got H2O, but there's another element that not everyone has found,
What's that?
and that's F2H.
Oh yeah, what's
Family here, and then the 2.
that? Oh yeah, F2H.
Because it's kind of like two families. together.
that's a great point. Kind of like your family and their family.
Right.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
really interesting, Sam. I didn't really think about that
'cause
sort of chemical bonding.
They got their
notation.
families together.
Right.
You know, my brothers and I got our families together at Olive Garden the other night.
Got the families together, like now they're bonded for life.
Right.
Because
and
now
that could
before
be a
this
thing.
they probably didn't know each
Before
other.
this, they like hardly ever saw.
And now they're
saw
playing
their
ball in the
cousins and
backyard,
stuff.
having a ball.
Right.
It's really
It brings, and so not only does when you're here your
Exactly,
family,
ball.
but even after here, you're still gonna want to be family.
right. Yeah, it's just amazing how much it's all about networking, but like from a family perspective, and the network just like expands so greatly. All the different trees and stuff. It's
Right.
Yeah, it's also because we talked about the character arc of that one, sort of dad learning how to be an uncle kind of a thing. But it's also made sure to be like a character arc and like sort of a hero's journey for the entire family.
Right.
The entire family because all of the families, just kind of melding into one.
Kids are growing up a lot like we did.
Yeah, around family.
Kind of like how that, they're bonded, more than that, like Alfredo sauce bonds the food it pours over because like it's like a blanket. It's like a thick
Right,
blanket.
and it's like a cohesive sort of.
Maybe even adhesive.
Yeah, an adhesive, cohesive solvent sort of thing.
Yeah, that's what the Alfredo sauce is. Yeah, that's really interesting that you would. I think a lot of people would discount it because the commercial itself, they don't talk about the food, but really the food and the situation, the scenario are really just intertwined.
Right.
Yeah, we're getting to the end here. Any final thoughts from you guys?
Well, I just want to say I think this is a real landmark moment for uncles everywhere.
Yeah, it's time uncles got their time in the spotlight.
And for polenta.
Thank you, Polenta. What do you think, Sam? Final thoughts?
A lot of floating, steaming food, a lot of uncles, a lot of family.
A lot of family.
To the
Couldn't have
point,
said
there's
it
a lot
better.
of family in there.
You know, yeah, I think we brought up a lot of really good points, but we definitely just barely scratched the surface on this one.
Right. I mean, you were talking about some of those scientific angles. You could. Yeah, that's a whole branch of all these different branches of knowledge coming from the
Right.
Olive
There's
Garden
whole
tree.
academic papers that could be written on this.
And probably are being written at this moment.
Yeah, right
so,
now.
yeah, it's just it's really amazing the cultural impact Olive Garden can have, and I'm really looking forward to this new season of the show because we're just gonna really dive into Olive Garden from so many new perspectives.
Right. We have a lot of new things to get into here that you didn't think that Olive Garden would ever touch.
Exactly. So, with that being said, we will talk to you on episode 2, and that's a wrap.
Thanks.
Go to Olive Garden.